Do you remember as a child, you begged your parents for a puppy? Mom, Dad, I promise I will walk him, I will love him, I will feed him, I will brush him, I will bathe him, I will take care of him. He will be my responsibility. You won't have to do a thing. I promise, I promise, I promise. And you cried and you cried and you cried. And finally you got one. What happened? Your parents took care of him, right? So now you're asking the universe for a male adult puppy, a male human adult puppy. And guess what happens? You get him, and then no one takes care of them. Why do you think there's a 50% divorce rate? I did the same thing. I understand that. But I didn't understand the responsibilities of owning a human female puppy. And that's why I'm divorced twice. But now I'm trying to take what I've learned with two dating coaches and six business coaches and trying to do better this time because I'm looking for my life partner, the love of my life, the person that makes the everyday activity special. When you come home and you share, you know, the disappointing phone call or whatever it was with your partner, and things get better and you enjoy that, and you do everyday activities and they become special. But having a human male adult puppy is not as easy and as much fun as it sounds. Sure, you love the BJs, it's not BJs all the time though. So yes, I'm an idiot, but let's be serious for a second. I did learn a lot from my previous relationships, and I'd like to think that I'm self-aware. But how many people are truly self-aware? I remember asking women, many women, what makes you happy? How many of them do you think can answer that question? Because if you can't answer that question, then how can you create a system or a strategy to find the love of your life if you don't know where you're going? If you're trying to create a roadmap without a starting point and an end point, how can you create a map, right? How you can create a destination? I mean, think about GPS, right? You need a starting point and Miami. Now GPS can plan the best route or the most scenic route or whatever route you want, right? But you have to have a starting point and a destination. If you don't know what makes you happy, it means you don't know what your destination is, right? If you don't know what your destination is, then how can you create the criteria to find the adult human puppy to help you create that destination, right? There's a reason why there's a 50%, well, 48% divorce rate, because we don't understand ourselves. We don't have goals. We don't have dreams. We don't design our lives. We don't put effort into it. The last time I was single was 7 years ago. I was in truly the love of my life relationship for the past 6 years. If you want to know what happened, have a look at the other videos, because that's not what this video is about. I was truly the happiest ever in my life. And unfortunately, it ended. So I'm looking to duplicate that process. Yes, even in my best relationship, and being honestly a good communicator. I wouldn't say an excellent communicator, but I'm trying to get better. Being a good communicator. We did everything together. We had some disagreements, but we were both adults. And we sat down, we figured them out and say, okay, what makes you happy? What makes you happy? One of my favorite questions to ask in that relationship was, insert person's name, how can I make you deliriously happy right now? Right? And think about your previous relationships. How many times did you ask a question like that? I didn't. right? But I did in that one. And her response was, I don't know, right? The deer in the headlights look. And we would discuss this for 6 years, and we still didn't know, right? So we would experiment. Uh, role playing, fantasy role playing, bondage, you name it. We tried it. And we had the date nights. We had Leo days and we had insert her name days, but she was very uncomfortable with her days. She didn't know what to do with them. We would try to make her comfortable. We loved to play cards, crazy eights, and you name it. We loved to play cards, and we would play for championship of a country or championship of a universe or whatever it is. But once in a while, we'd play for slavery. Slavery for an hour. You have to do whatever I ask you to do for 60 minutes. And she was very uncomfortable with that. Because she was uncomfortable with that, it made me uncomfortable with it, so I never followed through. Even though I would win, she would say most of the time, or I would say most of the time, she would argue with that, but I would never follow through, even though my fantasies were to follow through on that, right? But it never happened. Part of the work that I do is I work with lawyers, divorce lawyers, and we dissect a marriage while they're going through a divorce stage. And the reason why I want to talk to the couple is to see if I can save the marriage. If I can't, then maybe I can turn them into clients and help them with a not dating coach business that I run. But I try to help people. And if I can save a marriage, if I can make people happy and re-engage, because generally it's a problem. And the reason why we examine divorces that are about to happen is so we can trace back what caused the train to start derailing, right? And if you can trace it back, then you can try and make the train underail, if that's a word. I don't think that's a word, but you can fix it if you understand what the problems were, right? If you understand how you started to disengage. Keep in mind, you were in love with each other for years and years and years. All of a sudden, you start disengaging, you start resentment, right? And I believe from day one, from email one, from communication one, from the first text, from the way you write your profile, from the pictures you choose, all that is either you're building a trusted relationship with future people or future person or future love of your life, or you're starting to create resentment before you meet them. Okay, again, that's another video. I go into more detail. Please watch that video. I've gone on dates where I've already have resentment. I already know that before I even met her, before the phone call, I already have resentment for this person because they, I asked for a video call on chat 3, and chat 25, she still hasn't acknowledged that I asked for a video call. That is building resentment. So by the time she finally gets around to saying, yeah, let's do a video call, I'm gone. I've lost interest. You're done. You've shown to me by your actions that you care nothing about me. You care nothing about my desires, my hopes, my wishes, my dreams, nothing, right? So how am I supposed to feel enthusiastic about now you want to do a video call? Because you've proven that it's not about me, it's not about us, it's not about building a relationship, it's about you and your comfort zone, okay? So I'm mainly speaking to women here because most of my clients are women, but think about what you're doing. Women complain that men ghost them. Well, what are you doing to make them ghost you? Stop doing that shit. Right? Seriously, stop doing that shit so they're forced to ghost you. Start thinking like a man. Of course, I was joking about BJ's, but was I really joking? Right? Most people think the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. No, it's through his dick. Think about it. What makes a man happy? How often does a man think about sex? Statistics show every 8 seconds, 8 to 10 seconds, depending on the study, right? So if you don't know this stuff, then how are you creating a system or presenting yourself to be attractive to the opposite sex? And why is it called the opposite sex? Is it because they have different sex organs? No, it's because they think opposite than the way you do. So if you don't have a male dating coach showing a female and the female having a male coach and so on, you should know exactly how the opposite mind thinks, because it is the opposite mind. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. If we know that already, then why are we pretending we don't know that? Stop pretending. Stop pushing people away. I'm being serious. Stop pushing people away. Okay. Start asking questions. What would make you deliriously happy right now? You do that, you will get 10 Tom Cruises at your door. I mean, at your profile door. I don't mean your real door. Start asking questions that engage. Start asking questions that shows that you've read his profile, because women are freaking lazy, right? The more beautiful a woman is, the lazier she gets. Have you ever seen, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini with a short, dumpy, fat, bald guy, and beside him is a supermodel? Women are lazy, and women say they don't settle. Bullshit. I see it every day. I see it every day. My past relationship was that. She was a supermodel, and she settled for me because I wore her down and because I was lucky enough she didn't have a system to find her match, right? Because we always want to date above our class, right? I certainly was dating above my class, and her friends couldn't believe that she was dating me, right? And that caused a bit of resentment, and that was fine, but I was glowing on the inside. I was smirking on the inside because I knew that my system worked. Do you have a system that works for you? Because if you're not sending out 10,000 emails, if you're only waiting for people to respond to you, if you're only waiting to respond to people to respond to you, well, if you believe in a tier system or the class system, right? If you are an 8 or a 10, you're going to get frogs. You're going to get 2s or 3s or frogs sending you emails, which means that is the ultimate definition of settling. Because if you're only choosing from people who are sending you messages, you are going to choose a frog. If you're not sending messages and you're not going to above your tier, then you are going to settle. How can you argue with that? If you don't believe this, then look at statistics. We all deserve to be deliriously happy. I believe that. And I'm putting in the effort to find the love of my life. If I believe that, and I'm a frog, why don't you believe that? I would love to hear your questions, comments below. And by the way, search for a group on Facebook, dating support group. We all need to have a conversation because we're all doing things that hurt us. And by the responses that I'm getting from my emails, I sound too businesslike. I'm sounding robotic. I'm sounding, well, businesslike is the main criteria that I'm taking all the romance out of the search. Well, in this case, to me, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear your feedback, it's about the destination in this case. It's not about the journey, because the journey fucking sucks. Trying to meet people who you might have some interest in is horrible. I hate it. I hate texting, right? So to me, the journey is meeting the one special one for me. That is the journey. And from there, life starts. Okay. So I just want to be very clear on that. I would love to hear how you think. Where am I going wrong? Because I know I'm not perfect, because a lot of people think I'm freaking nuts, right? Putting a priority on finding the love of your life. I mean, that's just stupidity. Anyways, would love to hear your comments, and sorry for the rant. Talk to you soon. Take care.